This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stockbox interview. Hello and welcome to the Research Talks on Stockbox here with Alan Green. Alan, how are you doing? I believe you've had a nice little holiday down in Cornwall.
Yes, it was. We've had a fab time actually, Mark, and goodness me, we were lucky with the weather. I know you're familiar with Cornwall, and we've been going there for many years. But I know from bitter experience, just from experience, that you can get down there, and of course the fog comes down, or the rain comes down, and that's it. You have to find other stuff to do. But we had 5 days of brilliant sunshine, which is most unusual.
Yes,
most welcome.
But yes, but very good. You're right. When you get down to Cornwall, if the weather's not nice, it can be a pretty miserable place. But when it's nice, it's a beautiful place. It's just one of those places that it does depend. You have to change completely what you do depending on what the weather's doing. But
yeah, that's right. I mean, we have loads of stuff lined up, sort of visits to places and all the rest of it if it does rain. But as it's worked out, obviously you saw the pics from Trebar with Strand, and we went to Paul's Heath and Damer Beach and obviously into Bude and many other places, Crackington Haven, Tintagel, you name it.
Yeah. I know all those places. My childhood was spent in those areas. So
what wonderful place to grow up.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, so today you're going to be talking to us about Greatland Gold, big stock that a lot of people know about, certainly in the mining and exploration space, and Blencowe Resources as well, who've had some recent developments on the resource, haven't they?
They have indeed. Yep. Yes, they have. It's certainly Blencowe have pushed ahead. But I'm going to cover Greatland first of all because I have spoken about Greatland before, and obviously this is a company that has been it still is very much an investor favourite, and it blazed a trail. And of course, it's underseen various changes in management over the years. Gervais Heddle, I think, oversaw the phenomenal development and the deal making with Newcrest Mining that resulted in the explosion in value for shareholders, and of course the development of the Havieron mine, which is world famous. And indeed, it won Greatland Gold were the winner of the 2001 Commodity Discovery Award on the back of what they'd achieved to date. So just to recap on this. Of course, we saw. I think the share price performance of Greatland reflects what everyone is hoping for with their investments into small cap mining and exploration stocks. This is the dream. This is the dream that everyone invests into, and you hope that the company you invest into will find something like this. And certainly Greatland Gold delivered in spades. At one stage, you had a company with a market cap of 25 million, and at its peak, it was up at 1.5 billion. So, of course, if you'd stuck a few quid into that at the start and just gone for the ride and sold out at the top, you'd have a life-changing amount of money. So Havieron was discovered in 2018. Of course, Havieron is in the western provinces of Australia, and is synonymous with so much other activity in the area. And of course, we've spoken with Paul Johnson recently, Mark, and Paul Johnson has the First Development Resources, which are being spun off and IPO'd later in the year, and that they too have licenses in the region. But Havieron was discovered, the initial PFS, pre-feasibility study undertaken, comments and superlatives came back from management along the lines of drilling results continue to astound, potential for new high-grade mineralization. So on the area called the Southern Crescent, that really has been the basis for the find and the way the mine has evolved from there. But of course, as often happens, you're into an area, you're developing, the company takes the decision to develop the mine, and and progress. And as the exploration continues, other geological anomalies reveal themselves, or the mineralization that you found previously extends to the north, to the east, or the west. And indeed, that has happened. I mean, the Javieran discovery is an area and a region that just keeps on giving. So there are a number of other assets owned by Greatland Gold, and it's worth going through these. And I'm going to go through these briefly, but really, it's the most recent updates that I think are relevant in terms of the individual project the individual project developments, as well as the Javieran project. There's a Scallywag project which is adjacent to the Javieran mining lease. Contains a further 20 kilometers of strike located directly to the northwest of the Javieran deposit. Rudell and Canning projects, and these are both projects in the Patterson region, and Greatland on the with these applications extends Greatland's land holding in Patterson to 564 square kilometers, believed to contain mineralization, gold copper style mineralization along the style of the Javieran deposit. And then the Ernest Giles project, located in Western Australia, also in the eastern Yilgarn Craton, and of course the Yilgarn Craton is considered highly prospective for gold deposits. There's been much development and mining exploration taking place there over the years. The Panorama project in the Pilbara region of Western Australia, gold and cobalt. Bromus project southwest of the Norseman mine in the southern Yilgarn region of Western Australia. The Fire Tower project in Tasmania, and also the Warrantina project in Tasmania. And these are both prospective gold projects. But the focus certainly has been on developing Javieran and those extensions. And on March the 10th, the company provided an update on the Javieran deposits. The drilling program is continuing at pace. 6 rigs now operating at Javieran, and these are targeting extensions to, I mentioned, the southeast crescent, the eastern breccia and the northern breccia and other targets. Further mineralization at Eastern Breccia will update the current mineral resource estimate. And again, this is back in March. I'm going to bring up to date with some further announcements recently in a second. High grade copper mineralization at the core of the northern breccia, which is open at depth. So again, the asset that just keeps on giving. The northwestern breccia, we've seen grades over 52.5 meters of 7.1 grams per ton of gold, and that equates to and also a small deposit of copper as well. The Eastern Breccia mineralization, we have 14 on top of the initial mineral resource estimate, a further 14 million tons of 1.2 grams per ton gold, 2.37 grams a ton gold equivalent. And the work that was undertaken in March was significant. Also, the company announced that it completed the box cut and the portal. That's the mining entrance, and the decline had advanced at that stage 296 meters. They bored a ventilation shaft, and the approvals and permits were undergoing. The feasibility study initiated by Newcrest was progressing, and the company was seeing a further range of options. Then on April the 28th, the company announced new high-grade mineralization had been intercepted to the end of the Eastern Breccia, and this was taken directly from the Newcrest mining report, 150 meters at 3.7 grams per ton. Further extensions to the southeast crescent, in addition to lateral extensions adjacent to the existing high-grade mineral resource estimate. Now these came in at 52 meters at 3 grams per ton. Also included 17.9 meters at 7.7 grams per ton. Further expansion of the high-grade mineralization zone in the northern breccia, and also ditto in the northwest pod of that area. With this expansion, the company had also identified new targets that are currently being drilled outside of the Javieran system. The decline the mine decline within a month had extended further to 313 meters. Liners have been installed, and the chief executive Sean Day said these are tremendous results, ongoing potential for Havieron expansion. So that really kind of drew the line in the sand as regards the developments for Havieron, and certainly in the March interims, the company said that the pre-feasibility study underway really was just revealing the tip of the Havieron iceberg, and I think that probably summarizes very well the potential that not only Sean Day and his management team, but the geologists working on the ground feel exists at Havieron. There's a fraction of the initial resource supports the total capex anticipated for the project. So that gives you some idea of the nascent potential that still exists there. They've already completed 219,516 meters of drilling. That's from 266 holes, and this is we're really getting now monthly updates from the project, and it looks as though that the expansion of the project and the new zones of mineralization that are being identified and drilled will maybe expand the mine to levels that we can't even anticipate at this juncture in time. But it's not only about Havieron. The company also said in its interims that drilling was being undertaken at the Jury joint venture, and Jury is based in the Patterson East and Black Hills region. 9 holes were completed there, over just under 5,000 meters, testing targets. Gold assays had identified mineralization at Saddle Reef's target. First gold had been identified at the Goliath project, and the Jury joint venture is being advanced to stage 2. So that's a completely separate asset that also looks as though it's going to add value to the Greatland Gold investment proposition. In Patterson itself, drilling, the company said it drilled multiple targets at the Scallywag license following the airborne Aeromag survey and gravity data set study and analysis. It also acquired two other licenses, the Pascal and Taunton tenements, and exploration licenses in that region for cash and shares from the seller. Sean Day said at that juncture the company is well capitalized. It had expanded the board to expand the breadth and capability of the company's operational structure. Christopher Toon brought in as chief finance officer, Otto Richter brought in as group mining engineer, and Paul Hallam brought in as the non-executive director. And Sean said, the team just view the assets as a globally unique opportunity to bring low risk, low capex tier 1 global copper mine into production. Of course, that's predominantly Havieron. The feasibility study that's currently underway is due in December this year, and certainly at this moment the Havieron mineral resource estimate was expanded from the initial up to 5.5 billion ounces of gold, 218 kilotons of copper, and that equates to 6.5 million ounces of gold equivalent, which is an increase of 2.1 million to 2.1 million ounces on the previous estimate. But I think that's only going to go in one direction, given the way the Havieron asset is expanding and the project overall is expanding. I think we're going to see numbers well in excess of that as the year progresses. Looking at the share price, the shares, of course, along with every other mineral resource stock, have drifted backwards. Greatland's still got a market capitalization of 472 million. Now, remembering at its peak, it was worth 1.5 billion. So it's a third of that value, with the projects much further advanced and a much higher mineral resource estimate, and also additional projects in the wings that will be discovered and will bring greater value. Obviously, I know Paul Johnson and his team at First Resources are excited because they're in the same area, and of course you've got other operators in the area. You've got Rio Tinto with the Winu mine, and others operating in the area too. So it's an incredibly exciting opportunity, and I think we're going to see further progress later this year from the group. The shares currently trading at 11.6p are just off year lows at 10p, and obviously they have been higher. And I would think that if there is if and when the much hoped for turnaround in junior mining stocks takes place, that Greatland Gold is going to be right at the front of the queue.
Indeed, yes, of course. We're all waiting for that to come. Just on that point, actually, I did a podcast earlier in the week with Alexander Stachel, who is a commodities resource investor in his company. That's what he does, and it's a very good podcast. Actually, we talk all about what's going on at the moment in the markets and how commodities will play a huge part of that coming out. It's a good listen. That'll be out on Monday. But one of the things he said was about asking him about looking for compelling investment opportunities. And of course, you can pick the real small market cap ones, but as we all know, it's very risky. And he said the kind of thing that he does, and he would suggest to investors, is to look for the company that's got a developed asset or a producing asset and is exploring at the same time. Anywhere between kind of $500 million and $2 billion market cap. And really, that puts Greatland Gold right in the middle of that. And
very much so.
I've thought about Greatland Gold before and thinking that, well, it's come such a long way, and I was part of that journey for a small portion of that rise. And you kind of think that, well, it's not going to do that again, and it won't do that again. It's not going to go 20 times again. That's probably unlikely, but that doesn't mean it's not a compelling investment opportunity. And as you said, it's a third of what it was at its peak. So even that, that's a great return if it was to return to that. And who knows, it could go on to be a mega, or certainly get taken over by a major, and then you can hold a decent amount of shares in a major. So there's not something to be sniffed at when you look at a company that's worth that much. There's still upside to be had. At a much reduced risk.
Yeah, very much so. And you're right there, Mark. I mean, the risk profile of Greatland has reduced significantly since that point. I mentioned right at the start all of the other projects the group has got, which some of which are being worked on and others aren't. But certainly assets like the Jury joint venture with Newcrest, that's another joint venture. All of the activity in Patterson, those are being developed as well. So these are being developed alongside this ever expanding Havieron asset, which is just burgeoning in all directions. And the mineral resource estimates increased by 2.1 million ounces, and yet the valuation hasn't really has gone the other way. So of course that's just the current position for mining stocks, which we're all working with and we accept. But as and when there is a turnaround, or as you say, I mean, Newcrest may decide to turn around to Greatland and make it an offer. It may realise that this huge asset is simply going to be enormous, and it may turn around and make Greatland a very generous offer. And then, as you say, that comes in. You have shares in the major, and happy days. But there are so many other projects like this that are at far early stages, and of course we're all invested into these smaller companies, because if one of those assets, Power Metal obviously has a great spread of assets, so one of those comes to fruition and JVs with a major like Newcrest, then the sky's the limit.
Indeed. Excellent. Okay, well, thank you very much for giving us the case for Greatland Gold, Alan. So then on to another company, Blencowe Resources, who are graphite, aren't they? Large flake graphite.
Large flake graphite, they are indeed. Yeah. Blencowe came to market in April 2019. There was the company initially raised 2 million at 6p and completed a 100% reverse takeover of Consolidated African Resources, and in the process acquired 100% the Oram Cross graphite project in Uganda. And this is what the company has been about from day one, and it's since added another dimension to that, which I'll come to shortly. So the company, the executive chairman is Cameron Pearce. I've known Cameron for many years. He's a mining professional and has developed and brought many companies and assets to market. The chief executive is Mike Ralston, and Mike Ralston is very well respected in his field. He's been working in the Southern Hemisphere for many years. South African, very familiar with Uganda and the territory there. In fact, I met these gentlemen a few weeks ago and was sitting chatting to them, and Mike had a meeting with the local government mining team there, and just got a real sense of their excitement about the potential and the sheer scale of the Orme Cross graphite project. And of course, graphite, as we know, is a constituent part of of battery technology. The new batteries today that power electric vehicles and power turbines and involved in reserve power stations, probably 40% of the weight comes from the graphite. It has to be a certain quality of graphite, and this is exactly what the Blencowe have discovered at Orme Cross. So the area of Orme Cross is simply huge. It's some 2,000 square miles in size, and when the company acquired the asset, of course there were boots on the ground. You've got to start somewhere, so a camp load was established, and from there the initial exploration team went out and looked around. They didn't have to go far, because literally this stuff is sticking out of the ground. You could drive a tractor and harrow over there, and you'd pull a lot of stuff out of the ground. So straight away they knew they were looking at a low capex operation. You know, the graphite was very easy to get to, very easy to extract. So then, of course, the feasibility study, which will be sort of is currently underway, will actually underline and outline the costs involved with that. So the drilling or the team went out, extracted, undertook initial drilling. Those results went off, and we're looking here, of course, at the total graphite content, which is key for it's a key element in ensuring that the graphite is of sufficient quality. All of those boxes were ticked, and then in April last year, the company established an initial maiden mineral resource estimate of 16.3 million tons with 6% total graphite content, identifying several high-grade zones. Then in September announced the preliminary economic assessment for the asset, and the net present value of the asset at that point with that MRE came in at $317 million, and that's with a 13-year mine life. And of course, mine life is very significant, because if you're going to build the infrastructure if you're going to build the infrastructure, you might need to build roads or connect it to rail, all the rest of it. You've got to be sure you can get a good payback and you can get good value for money over many years. So that mine life is very important. Then, of course, the asset developed, and in March this year, the currently announced further phase 3 mineralization and metallurgical test work it was underway to deliver or to deliver a high quality pre-feasibility study, a report by the middle of the year. Backing that up, back in April, we had April the 11th, the mineral resource estimate was increased by 50% from 8.1 million tons to 24.5 million tons, again at 6% total graphite content. So this is absolutely huge for the company. It also increased the mine life by a further 2 years to 15 years, and said with all drilling work it was undertaking, it was seeing consistent grades across the asset, which is absolutely key. Of course, the quality of the grades is very important. If it's inconsistent, then of course it means the work to identify the high grade zones takes more time and it costs more money. Then on May the 3rd, the company appointed ERM to build an ESG platform to deliver green graphite. So, very much in keeping with mining technology nowadays, Blencowe intend to be right at the forefront of delivering a green minerals to the market, and that team are now in place to ensure that can happen. Then early this year, an opportunity arose for the company to acquire an adjacent project literally sat adjacent to the Orme Cross Graphite project, which is the Akele-Congo nickel project. Now, work has been undertaken by Sepa Resources and Rio Tinto previously in the area, and there's believed to be substantial nickel mineralization across this area. And of course, again, a mining company that's got two assets in one place, the economies of scale, the low capex, or the potential for low capex if both are developed, is very important in terms of bringing value into the company and delivering long-term value for shareholders. But certainly, on the 30th of May, in fact, a week or so ago, Blencowe announced that it had commissioned SkyTem survey apps to undertake a high-definition aeromag survey over the area, and this is a fairly sort of rapid development, given that the company has just picked the project up. But of course, nickel is so important nowadays, given the squeeze in nickel prices, and also given the fact, of course, we have the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and the Russian nickel supply has been taken out of the global market. The race is on to find the next resources. So Cameron Pearce said the task at Akele-Congo is to expand on the work delivered initially by Sepa Resources and Rio Tinto to broaden that mineralized zone. So this work will then highlight drilling targets and lay the ground for a drilling program, hopefully as soon as Q3 2022. So that's a new dimension to the Blencowe mineral resources offering. Has that been reflected in the share price? Surely you'd think so. Of course it hasn't. Where again we come back to the malaise in mining stocks. So I remember the company came to market with a valuation of 6p. We're currently trading at 3.88p, laughably undervalued given the work and the steps forward and the increase in mineralization at Orme Cross. The progress is laughable, really. But that's just where mining stocks are right now. So the company has a capitalization currently of 6.9 million sterling, which is absolutely nothing considering the work that's already been done. It's well funded. There was a raise recently, raised 2 million. So the company is well capitalized to complete the pre-feasibility study. But I think once we get the PFS over the line and we understand the costs that are involved, then that should be a significant value inflection point to see the valuation in the company move higher.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, Alan. Again, perhaps a bargain price there, coming off from the IPO price. And they've got the good graphite, haven't they? They've got the large flake, and as you said, you can almost take a tractor and a harrow and pick the stuff up. It's abundant.
You can. It's literally sticking out of the ground. Yeah. Yeah. But also, I think again, with so many projects, I mean, we're seeing this with Javier, and it just keeps on giving. Of course, they're in the ground, they're committed to it. So the team, whilst the mine's being dug, the team are out there drilling around, and they're just seeing mineralization anomalies and arms and extensions to existing mineralization. Orme Cross is exactly the same. So once the team are in the ground there, they can then extend further out into the territory, and all they'll keep on doing is upping the MRE, and of course increasing the mine life, which will make it extremely viable as an extremely viable economic proposition.
Excellent. Okay, well, thank you, Alan, for your time again doing the Research Talks podcast with us, giving us the investment case there for Greatland Gold and Blencowe. And we'll be speaking again in the not too distant future, I think.
We will indeed, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programmes at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.